let's get a state of the state from the Navy. I know there's a lot of activity going on over there.
There is. Good afternoon. When I came on board as the deputy CTO a few years ago now, one of the first things I was asked to do was help modernize the Department of the Navy's cloud policy.
Mm-hmm.
And really the point there was to say, cloud isn't new. Cloud isn't something we're dipping a toe into. It's, the third decade of the 21st century. That's table stakes. Cloud is at the center of how we think about these things. Mm-hmm. And we're past crawl, we're past walk, we're running. So we signed that out in December of 2020. But what does that actually mean? Because we've all labored under the scourge of lift and shift. And digital transformation really is not a technology problem. It's a culture problem, or as one of our folks likes to say, IT is easy except for the people. So the question was, how are we going to change the technology culture? Because bringing the right tools to the table is necessary but not sufficient. FedEx is going to be great at logistics, regardless of if they're on Excel or a Kubernetes microservices mesh. So we've been really focusing on that culture problem at the Don CIO level. And just in September, Aaron Weiss, our CIO, signed out a capstone design concept for information superiority. We have an information superiority vision that the Secretary of the Navy signed. And this says, well, culturally speaking, how are we going to shift the way we think about technology solutions to realize information superiority? We said, there are a few things. We really want to elevate customer experience as a key outcome. We really want to elevate operational resilience as a key outcome. That whatever your requirements of record are, those two are going to swamp it in practice. When we all go remote for COVID, when no one's looking at the paperwork from 7 years ago to figure out what your key performance parameters are. They're saying, is it there? Is it still there? Can I use it to get my job done? And to get after that, we outlined 3 lines of effort. Again, making sure necessary but not sufficient. We need to actually optimize our information enterprise for cloud. We need to adopt enterprise services because we just can't have every team going off and starting from scratch with a blank piece of paper and saying, well, first I'll get some compute and store, and then I'll figure out some business process workflows. And we really need to implement zero trust because that's a game changer for those 2 key outcomes of customer experience and operational resilience. And we've seen some really big success over the last couple of years, especially with flank speed for the Navy, which is our Microsoft 365 environment, but also the infrastructure as a service and platform as a service tiers. So that's something where we now have 500,000 people operating in a tenant that's got many pretty advanced zero trust features turned on, that's got information protection implemented, that's allowing access from personal devices over personal network connections, where our cyber defenders have very dynamic and granular and conditional ability to fine-tune those accesses. And that's, as Mr. Weiss said just recently, it's really just the door we went through. Now we can have the conversation about, well, what's the ratio of end-user devices we need to virtual desktops? What are the different virtual desktop, the evergreen virtual desktop images that we can tailor by persona? Software developers, or maybe a shipyard artisan who doesn't need to do anything except enter time and attendance. And so where our focus is now is not trying to scale some of these things up, because Agile doesn't really scale up, but how can we decompose our problems, really empower teams to stop doing things that don't add value and let them take ownership and run with these solutions.